Hello everyone. I can't be with you today, but I was born 11 miles from this Manchester conference venue, so it does feel like coming home virtually. This mini keynote has to be mini. It's a 20-year story in 10 minutes. The story begins with new undergrads obsessed with how to get good marks rather than engaging seriously. They were never asking, "What interesting learning experiences have you got planned?" Just, "What's in the assessment?" And who can blame them? High school assessment has trained them for that. So, I designed some new assessment software called Review for marking student work that used color to group assessment criteria according to the capabilities or attributes they were implicitly developing. 5 categories emerged through this process that seemed to accommodate all. So this is where coloring new assessment futures comes in. Yes, Capri is a holiday retreat that helped get buy-in from academics, but it's also a mnemonic to remember the 5 category titles and doubled as an acronym for Capability Results Inventory. The yellow communication and collaboration criteria were fairly obvious. The blue attitudes and values category covered criteria related to sustainability, ethical and social responsibility, etc. Knowledge and content-related criteria fitted under all 5, with basic acquisition taking its rightful place in the red category as a practical skill. Here is an extract from a scripted animation by a design student explaining all this to other students in the 46 degree programs in his faculty, each with their own subcategories of Capri.
There are 5 main graduate attribute categories, and we get extra feedback about our development because assessment criteria are color-coded. Capri gives us a common dialogue with teaching staff through assessment criteria for tasks, our own self-assessment online, and grading that gives us feedback on attribute development. Capri gives us a shared language, and Review provides the platform for us to link our marks and grades to the attributes we are developing.
So what would you say if a student came to you at the end of her degree and said she had an HD average in yellow? Well, in my case, it caused an important realization. You could even say a light bulb moment. Because I realized that despite marker variability, inconsistent benchmarking, assessments from 32 very different subjects with multiple task types, the assessment criteria that had been coded yellow were all highly rated. She was actually demonstrating consistent capability, challenged through multiple assessed learning experiences. In this, the Review software is key to engaging students with assessment, and clearly works best in a project or problem-based learning context. Here's how it works. Students can first self-assess against the color-coded criteria using visual sliders that generate marks in the back-end database rather than on screen. It's web-based, so this can happen at home or at uni. Staff then put in their own without seeing the student's self-assessment. A large gap between the two is a great prompter for comments both ways. Students get access to pie charts and bar charts showing an updating profile as tasks across subjects are completed. Despite good feedback from staff and students at university level, assessment attitudes are difficult to dislodge. I needed to be researching in the high school sector. Through a 2-year government research project in 2016, one high school principal decided to implement a whole school assessment change using Review and Capri. He and his staff decided to develop their own subcategories of Capri for all assessments from years 7 to 10. That's ages 12 to 17. Teachers in high school are dealing with standardized testing, the requirements of content delivery, and bizarre amounts of documentation. I said to the principal one day, "I think teachers are at the first stage of a revolution, suffering in silence without a strategy." He said, "Yes, but now we have a strategy, and I'm going to take it all the way to university entry level." After 2 years of implementation, His school won Australian Government Secondary School of the Year 2019. We decided to do a joint presentation at EduTech 2019 in Sydney, where Sir Ken Robinson was the keynote. Rather bravely, we titled it 22nd Century Skills Future-Proofing Assessment. And Mike has followed through with his school assessment change. Not only did he manage to bring all staff, students and parents on board, but government as well. Here, he describes the beginnings of implementation for the last 2 years of schooling.
What I really want to talk about today is that senior model. So in 2019, we moved to a position where we started to use CAPRI and review to assess our schools in the last 2 years of school in the HSC as that part just before the kids graduate high school. So we now mark, assess and report capabilities across the entire school. That's our sole reporting process, okay? So we've completely flipped assessment within the school. These are the way that we've broken down the elements in Capri. If you stopped and look at it, you'll see there's lots of similarities with what UTS does, and that's the beauty of Capri. It gives you that overarching framework to connect everything else. In the HSC, in year 12, year 11 and 12, as the boys are heading towards that matriculation and the university entry, they study 6 courses. And just like Simon showed, we're able to map those courses with the different skill areas. And there's quite a lot of difference there, but they're fairly obvious. You'll see visual arts as a strong practical component, advanced mathematics a strong critical thinking component. So we're drawing the capability assessment from 6 courses and across a number, 3 or 4 assessment tasks per course. So for most students, we're looking at 20 to 22 assessment tasks and then parts within. So you see there's a lot of data from a lot of different places. And this is what we get. So the column graph here on the left-hand side is one student's report from earlier this year. And you can see where they've landed across each of the 5 capabilities. Remember, this is not a measure of who they are as an innovative person, but a measure of what they performed in the particular tasks. The diagram on the right-hand side, this is our graduate certificate. We produced this at the end of last year. We'll do it again this year, and it shows that relative skill level of every student across 2 years worth of assessment tasks, and then a story at the bottom about what that actually means. And when you compare that to an ATAR, which is one number, what does one number tell you about a student? Virtually nothing. This is a rich data source.
Already, other high school principals are wanting to learn from Mike's example. And it's okay if this happens one school at a time, because they will own the process. And as you heard from Mike, it's an exciting journey. So could the different lenses of assessment be coalesced in a visual, more colourful way of assessing student work? Could assessment be harmonised all the way from primary to PhD and beyond? Thank you.